Dawn, we're live.
Ms. Corey, we're live.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Clayton County Board of Education work session. Today is September 28th. It is 6 p.m. and we're back from fall break, a very well needed one. Let me do the roll call since we're again virtual to make sure that we have a quorum, and welcome everybody back. I'm going to start with District 1, Ms. Jasmine Bowles.
Present.
District 2, Mark Christmas.
Here.
Thank you. District 3, Jesse Gorey, present. District 4, Victoria Williams.
Present.
District 5, Miss Ophelia Burrows. I think she won't make it this evening. District 6, Mary Baker.
Here.
District 7, Judy Johnson.
Here.
District, oh, did I call you District 7, Miss Judy Johnson? District 8, Dr. Alika Anderson.
Present.
District 9, Mr. Ben Straker.
Present.
Our superintendent, Dr. Marcise Beasley.
Present.
Our attorney, Mr. Clem Doyle.
Present.
And our administrative assistant, Ms. Don Blau.
Present.
Okay, I think we have everyone. At this time, I am going to turn it over to Mr. Charles White.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. I would like to have the opportunity to introduce Mr. Harrell from Morrow Middle School to introduce our student who will be leading our Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Harrell.
Thank you, Mr. White. This evening, we have Zabris Romero Paris from Morrow Middle School. She is in the 8th grade and she's in our dual language magnet program. She will be delivering the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish.
Hello, everyone. Yo juro lealtad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, invisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Gracias. Thank you.
Muy bien.
Thank you so much. She did that because this is National Hispanic Heritage Month, and so therefore we wanted to give you an inkling of the very talented students that we have here in Clayton County Public Schools, and to honor our National Hispanic Month. At this time, we're going to start our meeting, but before we do so, I hate to start it off with sad news, but I do want to have us to take a moment of silence. We lost a student over the fall break. I believe the correct pronunciation may be Brayan Sanchez. He was a 2nd grade student at Arnold Elementary School who unfortunately was involved in one of those 4-wheelers. I believe he collided and lost his life, and also his sister was injured. So we want to extend our prayers and condolences to the family, to his family, and also to the Arnold Elementary School family. So at this time, we'll take a moment of silence in his honor. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Keeping him in prayer. Okay, at this time, I will read the ethics statement. In accordance with Board Policy BH, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of such conflicts. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of such conflict with respect to any matter of schedule to come before the board at this meeting or appearing on our proposed agenda? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict and refrain from participation in the matter involved. Seeing none, we will follow our agenda. And at this time, we do need to adopt the agenda. I'm going to move that we adopt the agenda. I need a second.
I second it, Madam Chair.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second that we adopt the agenda. I will call the roll for the vote. Ms. Bowles,
Yes.
Mr. Christmas,
Yes.
yes for Jessie Gorey, Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Baker,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Dr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Straker.
Affirmative.
Okay, so it has been, we have a 8-0 vote to adopt the agenda. And the next item on the agenda is actually executive session. So we will move to executive session, and you all know we have to go to our other item on the calendar. So you might want to mute this, and then let's check into an executive session, and we will come out as soon as possible. But going into executive session, we need to discuss a personnel issue, and also I would like to discuss, I'm not sure if I should say, I'm just going to say litigation / land acquisition. And Dr. Beasley, if Mr. Joseph is on the call, I believe he is in the meeting, I would like for him to come into executive session with us if at all possible. Although I know that he may not have a link, but if someone could send him a link to come into executive session.
I will send it to him, Ms. Gorey.
Okay, is that possible, Mr. Dr.
Yes.
Beasley?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
I'll
you.
he's here. He should be here.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, I need a motion for us to go into executive session.
I move that we go into executive session to discuss personnel, land acquisition, and litigation.
I'll second it.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second that we go into executive session for personnel matters, legal, and possibly land acquisition. And I think I actually can see, well, that's all right. I'll just call the roll just in case. Ms. Bowles,
Yes.
Mr. Christmas, Jessie Goreza, yes. Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Baker,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson, Ms. Dr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Straker.
He's probably like me. We already in the
You
executive session.
already in. Okay, thank you, Mr. Christmas. I guess that's a yes. All
Yes.
right, we have, okay, we're 8-0. We're going into an executive session. Thank you all so much. We'll be out as soon as possible. where we
Ms. Corey,
discuss.
wait a minute, let me make sure we're live.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm ready to go.
We're live.
Okay, Ms. Corey, go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are returning from executive session where we discuss personnel matters and legal and land acquisition. At this time, we are going to move on in our agenda with updates to the board. I will turn it over to to Dr. Beasley and the leadership team.
Okay, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, we have just a few updates today, but very important updates. We're going to first start out with our reopening of school matrix. And I just want to share, as I toss it over to Dr. Simpson, that the matrix reflects our best thinking about how we can phase our students back to school face-to-face. Hopefully in the near future, our team, the staff, we're ready to bring our kids back as we look around and see the data improving. We look around and see that our neighboring or metro area school systems are returning face-to-face, and I'm getting emails as you are. I got one that's from a student today saying, I can't wait till we go back face-to-face. Please, please, please get us back face-to-face. We understand the safety situation of the pandemic data, but we just want you all to know that this team is ready to implement a phase-in plan where, of course, because you voted to start virtually, we need you all to vote to move us into a phase-in plan. But we are ready, and so I'll toss it over to Dr. Simpson and his team at this time to continue the discussion.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Beasley. Good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Dr. Beasley, other members of the board, and the community at large. I'd like to pivot for just 1 second. I've asked Regina Wallace, our coordinator for social studies, to come and inform us of a very exciting event that's taking place on tomorrow for our district regarding voter registration. Madam Chair, at your yearning and your desire, as well as others, because we recognize how important this is, we have laid out a very, very exhaustive event, and activities will follow as well. And so I just wanted for all to hear, and at this time, I'll turn it over to Regina Wallace.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, board members, Dr. Beasley, and community members. I'm going to present my screen now just so I can give you a brief update on what is taking place in Clayton County Public Schools around voter registration. All right. So as you know, we started the school year off in August by really setting the foundation for the importance of voting and the historical implications for voting by recognizing the 55th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, as well as the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, by having students indulge in lessons and student competitions that ask them to get into some good trouble as we approach the November election. From there, we've worked with our partners, When We All Vote and Usher's New Look Foundation, to do a week in action, which took place September 14th through the 18th. And we concluded that week on National Black Voters Day, which was the 18th, which brought us right into September 22nd, where we supported external organizations with voter registration efforts. And I'm happy to report that as of today, we have over 500 of our students registered and ready to vote in the upcoming election. Tomorrow, we look forward to capturing the other half of our eligible students. Schools have been provided with a list of students to target that are eligible according to their age. And we have a short but sweet assembly plan for our high school students tomorrow, which will include voter education and a mass voter registration effort to ensure that we don't leave any students without the opportunity to register to vote. And so that will take place tomorrow morning with all of our high schools participating. And then from there, we're going to provide our teachers with K-12 lessons that support voter education, looking at voter suppression, how can we combat that? We have interdisciplinary units coming from each and every content area that will allow students to look at voting from all different perspectives. From there, we will go into a mock election for our kindergarten through 12th grade students, where they will virtually decide on leadership for their local counties, as well as the presidential election. And then, of course, this will all culminate in October, where thanks to the teaching tolerance grant, which Clayton County Public School applied for and was awarded, we'll be able to transport our students to the polls during early voting free of cost. We'll also be able to pay our students to be poll workers and poll translators, since Georgia only offers a English-only ballot. And last but not least, we will conclude our voting efforts by continuing to teach students about why voting is important, and then sending in letters to try to get the name of the Edmund Pettus Bridge changed to John Lewis in honor of his voting rights initiatives. So that is what we have planned to support our students with becoming productive, responsible citizens. And I will stop here for any questions or concerns with our voting registration plans.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Ms. Wallace, I want to commend you. I'm quite impressed with the effort that you and the district is putting forward to educating our children on the voting process. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the support.
I would also like to commend Ms. Wallace for helping. Ms. Wallace has been working along with some other organizations. When we all vote, the Clayton County, I think they're the Youth Council. I'm trying to make
Yes,
sure I have the
ma'am.
right name. Also working with Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, East Point College Park chapter. And I wanted to also let everyone know that the students were involved in a voter registration drive on September the 22nd, which was during their fall break. And those students are Clayton County students that were at Terra Stadium, and they registered voters. And also our students were also involved in a voter registration contest where they did commercials. And I may try to see if we can run them next week. We had 4 winners. Vivian, I think her name is Hun. I believe
Yes.
I'm not sure if she's Elite Scholars. I can't remember the school. Ryan Rakestraw, who actually, I don't think he's one of our students. Colin Fowler, I believe, is actually a young man from Minnesota. And Jamarcus Hill, those are all students from Clayton County. So I think that we will try to run their commercials next week at our board meeting. I thought they were very convincing as to why we should vote and why it is very important to our community to get out and vote right now. And I also wanted to let Ms. Wallace know, I don't think I hit the send button on this, Ms. Wallace.
Okay.
But you actually did something. We had the district and even Ms. Dawkins, Jada Dawkins, sent out a link to the community where you can actually put the camera of your phone across the QR code, and it takes you to our voter page. But I just want everybody to know that there are really some voter suppressionists out there, because we sent that QR code out, and we also printed 200 flyers to go out to our students. And guess what? When we were ready to pass them out, the QR code no longer worked. I ended up having to get another QR code and cutting them up and pasting over those nice printed ones that we had. And the new code worked. But then as we were standing in Terra Stadium, and we put some of the QR codes on our signs so that people could go to the Secretary of State's office, guess what happened? It told us that it had been limited. You have reached your limit, and the codes no longer work. So voter suppression is alive and well. And so
Yes.
we need, but I do want to thank our students for being very actively involved in this whole process. And I thank you so much for those 500 students. And we want to get 100% of all of our students that are eligible to vote. We want them to vote. We want to take them to the polls, and we want them to take their parents to the polls and make their vote
Exactly.
and voice count. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you.
Good, good,
And I will stop sharing my screen at this time.
good. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Um, Before I turn it over to Ms. Johnson and Dr. Lee, members of the board, you had received, I guess we had this discussion, this lengthy discussion, and probably that last board meeting or prior to that. So certainly in the essence of time, we will not go over the entire reopening phase. But I know we did mention early on in the summer that at 9 weeks, we'd be taking a look at the data and where we are as it relates to reopening. This is week 8. Week 9 starts on Monday. And certainly it is time for us to obviously have that discussion. That discussion is based upon the data as it presents itself. And that's what our decisions, or what we agreed to, our decisions will be led by. So as I turn it over to Ms. Johnson and Dr. Lee, I wanted to make certain that I mentioned that, and that we are at that pivotal point of having to present to you what that plan is and for you all to be able to make a decision. So at this time, I turn it over to Ms. Johnson and Dr. Lee.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Simpson. Good morning, good evening, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Dr. Beasley, members of the board, and members of the community. As Dr. Simpson has just noted, on August the 31st, we shared the reopening matrix with the board and our community. Since that time, we've made a few revisions, minor revisions to the matrix. And so tonight, I will provide a high-level summary of the content of the matrix and highlight the revisions. So I'm going to pull up the matrix and share my screen. Okay, so as you can see, and as you remember, we had 3 phases and then our final face-to-face instructional phase. And we have a criteria that we selected that would dictate which phase we would transition to when the time is appropriate. So right now, of course, with phase 1, and in order to move to phase 2, we would like to see the positive rate in Clayton County at 50 to 100. And then in order to move to phase 3, we would like the positive rate at 10 to 50 new cases. And this is new cases over a 6-week period. So it's for 3 reporting periods, which is equivalent to 6 weeks. So we want to see a decline in the trend of positive cases before we even consider transitioning to the next phase. So to highlight the revisions that were made, we have created a group 1 and a group 2. In 1, we have pre-K through 2nd grade and grades 6 and 9. So when it's time to determine when we move from phase 1 to phase 2, that's the group of students that we will look at. So those students will either move into the A-Day, B-Day status, or that group of students could move to back to school face-to-face Monday through Thursday, with Friday remaining as a virtual day for students, virtual learning day for students, and teachers would have an opportunity to plan on those Fridays. Now, the other option that we have is to have a group 2. And in a group 2, the only difference between group 1 and group 2 is for group 1, we would have pre-K through 2nd grade students moving in together. And group 2, we would have pre-K through 5th grade students all going back at the same time. So again, it's across the board where we would have the A-Day, B-Day for this group of students, Monday through Wednesday, or Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. And let me move on down. And let me just make sure I'm clear with this. If we select group 1 here, where we have pre-K through 2nd only students moving in grades 6 through 9, then in this next column, we have to select group 1 here as well. So as you can see, group 1 here, we would have second grade students, pre-K through second. Group 1 here, we would have third grade students coming in the second week, 7th grade students and 10th grade students. So what we're doing is we're adding a grade level to each school every 2 weeks. So that's what it amounts to. And then of course your group 2 would go with this group 2, and then that would be grades 7 and 8 only. And then it's the same thing going down. We have a group 1 and a group 2. And then again, we will not transition. We will only make a transition every 2 weeks. And that gives our schools time just to get acclimated to the change. It gives our teachers and students, parents an opportunity to get acclimated to the change as well. And then in addition to the matrix, here we have added safety guidelines that will be followed to ensure a safe return for all employees and students. And of course, I won't read all of these. You all have this information. Our operations team is working diligently to ensure that these guidelines are in place once students and teachers, all staff members return. Okay, are there any questions?
Before, I know that we probably have questions, but I want to say a few things before we go a little further. First of all, I would like to, seems like we have a large audience this evening from the numbers that I've seen that are reported. And I know that I've been receiving many emails from teachers who are sending me all these notes about why they don't want to go back. And I've read all of them, and I understand how you feel. But I want to get a few things straight here. First of all, I would like for our teachers to, I see, yes, 877 people are watching, because people think that they have to go back to work. First of all, teachers, I wish you all would not spread rumors, because my phone and my text messages, my email, I'm sure all the other board members have blown up because one other county decided they were going back to school on September the 28th, and you all started bombarding us with questions. We clearly stated that we would not make a decision until after 9 weeks. Now, I want to get one thing clear. Dr. Simpson said a date, but I'm just looking at the calendar. And to me, 9 weeks, I think we multiply 9 times 5 would be day 45 is what I'm looking at. Now, maybe my calendar is incorrect, but that seems to me, which would be the week of October the 19th is what I'm saying. Am I incorrect on the 45 days? Dr. Beasley, Dr. Simpson, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Lee.
I'm looking now. Hold on.
And Ms. Johnson
That would
has
actually
the
be the
data,
week of
but she's been
October
tracking
5th, I believe.
October 25th, right? October 25th or 26th.
Well, I'm the calendar that I have shows that October the 19th would be 45 days. Is that correct or not? Maybe I might have the wrong calendar.
But Ms. Goree and board, as Ms. Johnson stated, we were looking at a combination of the 3 reporting periods, and we were revisiting it at the 9th week. So revisiting it at week 9, but looking at those 3 consecutive reporting periods to determine if it's time to phase in.
No, I understand that. What I'm saying to you is that the board said that we were the first 9 weeks we were going to be virtual. Okay. I'm saying to you, after the first 9 weeks, would those 45 days, would that be October 19th that we would then look at talking about phasing in after that date? Or is my calendar incorrect?
If you include the fall break.
I'm not including the fall break.
Okay, then that would be the 19th. It would take if you take out the fall break, that would be the 19th. If you include the fall break around the 12th, and that's why we're having the conversation now, because we're approaching October.
Exactly. Well, I didn't count fall break. I counted 9 weeks that we were looking to make a decision after 9 weeks. And so my question now would be, we looked at how we would phase in. If we were going to phase in, we're looking at numbers, and I'm looking at the news, and I'm hearing that numbers are rising again. I need to know exactly before we make any decision, and I want the public to know right now, and everybody that's at this meeting, we are not voting tonight on whether we're moving back to school or not. We are looking at the information that you have presented to us, and we're going to analyze the data and make a decision, because I know that we have parents that want us to open schools. We have teachers that are very afraid to come back to work. There are some teachers that are calling and saying, well, Ms. Goree, if we're about to go back, just let me get my mind straight. So, I can be ready to go. Everybody is afraid one way or the other. We're not going to make anybody happy. But the reality is that this is a conversation that we need to talk about where we're going. And teachers, I want to say this to you. If you all are really afraid and, you're really worried about this, about COVID, I do follow some of you all on Facebook, and I'm going to just let it stop right there. So please don't send me those emails and tell me you're afraid, but then I'm looking on Facebook and I'm seeing a whole nother situation. The only way we can get these numbers down is if we actively work together to keep the numbers down, because I know Labor Day, we were having a lot of parties and we were doing some things that we didn't need to do. And even as my son and I were driving today, for us to be having a pandemic, looks like there are more cars and people out on the streets than ever before. But at some point, we are going to have to look at moving back in. I need to know at this point, what are the numbers right now? What are the numbers of cases?
Okay, and I'm going to show that to you, Ms. Goree and board. So here, Dr. Collier has been tracking this for us, because as we said, we won't, move. The data is going to have to drive our decision making. And so as you can see here, we're here now. So where it says, and we're monitoring it every 2 weeks. So here at September, so let me just go back 6 weeks. So we were at 189 cases during the time period of August the 16th through the 30th. That means we needed to be in phase 1, which is where we are.
Yes.
Then the next 2 weeks after that, about 4 weeks ago, August 30th, we were at 101 new COVID cases. So as you can see, we're trending downward. Then the data that was reported for the past 2 weeks, September the 13th through the 26th, we're at 96 new cases. So this puts us in a possible phase 2. But as I stated earlier, we want to see 3 reporting periods of 100 or fewer cases, positive cases. So that's going to take us over to this box here, October 10th through the 24th, because we want to see a trend of a decline in positive COVID cases, because we understand we want to make sure that our community feels safe, our teachers feel safe, and our parents feel safe sending their students back.
Exactly. And I'm getting text messages again, and I'm, everybody, all the people, teachers, I know you have, problems with your immune system. I do too. That's why I got this. That's why I have my Nick Cannon look right here, my turban, because I'm also, right now, I am going through cancer treatment, and my immune system is compromised as well. But I have started back to work. I try to make certain that I do my social distancing, that I keep a mask on, and I'm very comfortable. I try to be very comfortable where I am. So I want you all to know that I do understand how you feel, and we will we're going to make a decision, as Dr. Johnson said, based on what the data says. So at some point, people, we are going to have to return to the building. We're not voting on it tonight, and we're not going to make a decision. We're going to make an educated decision, because we also know that we have the flu season coming up and all those types of things. And what we would really like for you all to do right now is, maybe some of you all are afraid of the flu shot, but this might be a good time to go ahead, get that flu shot, and try to take all those precautions. I'm hearing vitamin D is good. Don't overdo it. vitamin C supplements, all those types of things you might want to do and be very careful about your association. On another note, I will say this, and Dr. Smith and maybe Dr. Simpson can chime in on this. Now, I know you all are saying teachers are afraid to come back, but I'm going to tell you some people right now that have been with a large number of students every day since the summer are our football coaches. And our football coaches are with students, large groups, 65 plus students. They've been with them since the summer. They practice with them every day, which means that they're with 65 students. That also means that those 65 or more students are in 65 families. And so all of this, they're all interacting. So those coaches are putting themselves at risk every day for practice. And we have been very good to our teachers. We've allowed you, we have not done like the other counties. We have not required you to come into the buildings to teach, as all the other surrounding counties have done, with the exception of Clayton, DeKalb, and Atlanta. So we don't want to stress you out, but we also don't want to be stressed out. I don't want to be stressed out. We are going to make the best decision that we see based on the data. So we want you all to know that. And as I said, if you all could just not send rumors out, if you could get some facts first, and instead of sending us all this stuff, if you could maybe ask questions and we understand how everybody's feeling. I think everybody that's sitting here on this call right now, we're all afraid, because guess what? We're not in the boardroom. We're sitting in the safety of our house, of our homes, because we're all, feeling the same way that you are. So we're not taking this lightly. Anyway, Dr. Lee, do you have anything that you want to add to it?
Madam Chair, I was just going to acknowledge the questions that you provided earlier. We provided responses to those questions regarding the number of students who had applied for the Virtual Learning Academy and the number of parents. We also shared the approximation in terms of class size if we are with a hybrid model. I didn't know if you wanted me to go into those responses or to just allow an opportunity for any follow-up questions that may be aligned to those that were already posed.
Dr. Lee, go ahead and let the teachers and the public know what those numbers would be. Go ahead.
Okay. So, and when you say numbers, do you mean those that are applied for the Virtual Learning Academy or the hybrid model, or
everything?
Both?
I want everything that you just mentioned.
Okay. So,
yes,
one of the questions was regarding the students who had applied, or parents who had applied for the Virtual Learning Academy. At the time that the application was released, we had a little over 16,000 that applied. The early part of September, we issued parents the option to opt out of the Virtual Learning Academy when we returned to face-to-face. From that survey, a little over 1,227 opted out. So of course that leaves over 14,000 who either did not respond or committed to continuing. If we would remove those 14,000 and then look at a hybrid model where students are returning A day and B day, we're hoping that cuts the class sizes down to about half. And based on our current class size models, our confirmed class sizes, for kindergarten, the regular class size could be 24 with a paraprofessional. So in half, of course, that would be 12 students. Grades 1 through 3, the regular size is 28. So that in half, of course, is 14. Grades 4 through 5, 34, with a half being 17. Grades 6 through 8, 33, with 16 to 17 for half. And then high school is a range of 39 to 45. So that could be approximately 20 to 22. And these numbers would not be exact because it depends on the number of students who are enrolled in the courses or subjects, as well as reducing those students who are at home for the Virtual Learning Academy. So those are just approximations at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. At this time, board members, do you have any questions or comments?
Madam Chair?
Go ahead. Yes, Ms. Baker.
I'm
at whatever point that we do go back, my concern is that we make sure that we have children in the same family going on the same days, be it Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday. Somebody had said, oh, we'll do that by name. We have many blended families and children might not have the last name. So we need to make sure that we have family groups to make this as easy as possible for parents so they don't have kids going to school on different days.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Baker, that's a very good point, and we considered that. That's why we devised a plan where we would issue A days and B days by address, by home address. So it would be particular to address and not a last name of your letter. I mean, last letter of your last name.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, this is Dr. Anderson. I just want to thank you all for giving us the numbers and things of that nature. I am one, that believes, in looking at statistics and things. And I do remember last year, November, when the flu season hit, and I think we kind of talked about this today, Madam Chair, that a lot of our kids in the surrounding areas were out of school. And, as we were looking at those students, we were saying, where are our students at, what's going on? And so what I want our teachers to know is that, I, Dr. Lika Anderson, School Board District 8, I'm looking at these numbers and I am seeing the increases that are going on. And right now I am not for us going back. And I'm just going to state that because right now I think that we need to look at things a little bit more. We need to see how this flu season is going to carry out. We need to look at a lot of things. So right now I'm not feeling it. I feel like, and I know you guys have given us great data, but I just feel like, from where we are, things are going to increase. Dr. Fossey, he's even said, we need to weigh things out. So, like I said, thank you for the information, but right now I'm just not feeling us going back at this time and in possibly the 9 weeks either. And that's for me. Thank you.
Madam Chair, this is Mr. Christmas.
Mr. Christmas, can I let Ms. Bowles go first? She had her finger ready to go, and then you, please.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Bowles.
Thank you. I was wondering a question and then a comment. My question is, how many full-time nurses do we have? Or do we have any full-time nurses?
We do. Dr.
Beasley, do
Nunez,
you want me to respond?
I was just trying to get your attention. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, we have 8 full-time nurses in the district and healthcare technicians at every school.
Right.
Okay, thank you. And then that was my only question. The other thing I have is a comment, and it's just that, first of all, thank you all for all of the hard work you've done to assemble this plan. It's very thoughtful. I'm just thinking about, in addition to the points that were just made about the flu season coming up, I agree with Dr. Anderson's points. I also acknowledge the fact that we serve a disproportionately vulnerable population. And so it's important for us to be thinking about that. So there is no right answer that will please everyone, but my personal opinion on this matter is that not only that we do not reopen, but that we try our best to give parents a start and end time for when this will happen, and that we should say we won't reopen until after the new year. So that is my opinion on this. And again, thank y'all for all that you've done to this. The 8 full-time nurses in comparison to some of the data we can anticipate in our school sites. I would like to not reopen at this time.
Mr. Christmas.
Madam Chair, thank you. I would like to thank the team for all the hard work that they've done, first of all. Once again, I am with Jasmine, Ms. Bowles and Dr. Anderson for not opening. Did they send Barron back to school yet?
Oh, not sure about that, Mr. Christmas.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think we should go back until he go back.
Ms.
Okay.
Williams.
If we did decide to go back, are you gonna test the teachers first before we're going back? Like test everybody that's working? Or y'all just gonna check temperatures and do the little scan thing?
No testing, Miss Williams. A test is only good for the day you take the test.
I know, so we're not gonna have any testing going on, it's just gonna be
Ma'am.
scout timing.
Yes, ma'am.
And then if all these students, the 14,000 students that y'all say might be divided and may not be divided, then what's the situation if it's like, say all the 14,000 are all high school kids only? Then what? So if the class is not half, then you still gonna.
Well, we know they're not all. We know they're not all one level. Dr. Lee May can share the data, but we know they're all not high school students. We have a good number on each level.
Yes, in terms of the students who are remaining or opting out, opting out of virtual learning, we have 631 who have opted out, which leaves approximately 6,000 remaining elementary students who will attend the Virtual Learning Academy. For middle school, we had 4,400 who had applied, only 300 opted out. For high school, 4,936 applied, 296 opted out.
So elementary school, only 600 kids.
631 who responded opted out. So, so there may be some who did not respond, who after, we return face-to-face, who send their students back to school, but 631 opted out.
But Ms. Williams, to be clear, that's just the students or families who wanted to participate in the Virtual Learning Academy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we have so you're saying maybe about 24,000 students that would be in the virtual learning?
No, 14,844.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm not sure
Ms.
where
Goree,
I get
Ms. Goree, I
these numbers.
have a follow-up question. Also, I heard Ms. Bowles ask, you said that there are nurses in every elementary school has a nurse in each school, Dr. Beasley?
No.
There are Dr. Nunez can come back on. She said there's a health tech in every school, but not a nurse.
Correct.
And I also want to know, I'm gonna just clump it up in one. Our DES students too, who have health issues, how are we gonna deal with that also?
Good evening. We have a plan to deal with the DES students as well. Mm-hmm. There is a separate plan for our fragile students that has, I believe, some of it has been shared at a previous meeting, but we can come back and talk a little bit about it again.
Okay, because I don't know. Please excuse me if I missed that, but I still want to make sure that those students are very fragile, and I don't want to lose anybody. I don't want to lose a student. I don't want to be responsible for the deaths of anybody, teachers, students, staff, anybody, y'all. We got to really look at this thing as a board, and really do our homework, board members, making sure that we not only listen to the statistics from the school district, but we go in and look at the statistics throughout the nation, look at the data, and make our decision from there.
Mr. Straker.
Dr. Beasley, quick question. I know you sit in the superintendent meetings. Tell me Fulton, Gwinnett, DeKalb, and Atlanta. Do you know what they're doing?
Well, I don't know exactly, and I have staff members who can help share. I know that many of the districts have started to return face-to-face, including, I want to say Gwinnett, Douglas, of course, Fulton. I want to say Cobb as well.
What about Atlanta?
Atlanta, yes. I don't think so, but Dr. Simpson may know.
Yes, sir. They just announced on Monday that they're looking, I think it was somewhere around October, middle of October, 15th, somewhere around in there. But they did mention something about returning mid-October. Henry started a phase back in today, alternating a hybrid model. Fayette has already begun their hybrid model as well.
Right.
That makes
Thank you.
Yes, and that is, and
Dr. Lee,
go ahead.
just one more question. Dr. Lee,
Yes.
this is such a general question. I mean, I will not hold you to this answer. But the feel is the parents are wanting more to go back to school statistically or stay home. I'm talking
Well,
about
I can only draw conclusions from our initial survey to our parents.
and what is
where
that?
they-
What
where
is
they-
that?
well, we didn't explicitly pose that question. We just asked them regarding their satisfaction with the virtual learning model. And we were rated favorably with our implementation of it, and they had feedback around the schedule, but we did not explicitly ask if they wanted
Can
their
we
students
get
to return.
a survey out? Can we get a true college research survey out to find out exactly what the community is feeling? Can we do that, Dr. Beasley?
Yeah,
We
yes,
can.
sir.
Yes, sir.
We have done it, and we can do it again.
But I
this board-
want the question is, the question should be, do you want your children to go physically back to school? That's the question.
We can do a survey, and
Yes,
I
sir.
suggest a very short one with a very specific question,
It
just
should
like you
only be that
shared.
question. One
And
survey, that question. That's
And we
it.
can do that in no time.
Right.
Yes,
That is what I wanted to suggest as well, because while, you know, there are many things that we need to look at in making a decision, because as we're, you know, Dr. Anderson mentioned, you know, not wanting anybody to get sick or anything. And I'm going to say, even, you know, it really isn't, even if, I don't want that to happen either, but but I'm not going to say that if they came to school, that might necessarily be the situation. But I'm going to say again, I really need, I'm talking to the staff right now. I really need the staff. If you're really afraid about not contracting COVID, I really need our teachers to lead and show me that you are going to be safe yourself. Because I'm going to be real honest right now, I'm not necessarily in favor of us returning to the building. I keep hearing the teachers say you don't want the children to do something to you, but I don't want you or the children to do anything to each other. I need everybody. I need parents to be cooperative. I need the staff to be cooperative, because I'm actually getting a little bothered, because I go out every once in a while and I see you all and I know where you should be at. And Dr. Beasley has said to me, Ms. Gorey, some of them do take days off. You know, they have subs or whatever, but it just, you know, I get a little worried when I know that we are virtual, and that I know that people should be on the computer. And the other people that I'm talking to are the children as well. Just as Dr. Beasley said, he received the email from a child saying that they're hoping that, you know, that we'll start school or whatever. But I've talked to some high school students who, you know, they're happy. They would like to come back to school, but they are happy being virtual as well, because the children are afraid as well. So we are going to have a very, you know, use all types of data. And as Mr. Straker mentioned, we do need a survey. We need a survey to understand where our parents, you know, how they're feeling about where they want their children. You know, do they want them to come back? We need to get data from everywhere, because as Dr. Beasley mentioned and Dr. Simpson, yes, Atlanta is, when we look at the makeup of surrounding school districts, you know, for African-American students, Hispanic or whatever, the disease is hitting our community more than anyone. That's who's really dying. And we have a lot of people that have these underlying conditions. And so they, you know, some of us don't have good health care, those types of things. So it's very easy for us to contact something and end up sick, or, you know, and end up, you know, those are the numbers that are showing up right now, are us. So
Madam
we
Chair.
do want to be very clear. But we also have, I know Dr. Beasley has sent us an email. In Atlanta, we got people that are tired of, they're tired of being virtual, and they're having Zoom outs and all that type of stuff. It's other things we need to look at. We need to look at the instructional, looking at the instructional value that we're giving. I also know that a lot of our teachers, we have some teachers that actually they might want to come back to work because they're actually more worn out from virtual teaching than they would be in the classroom. So not only do we need to talk, we need a survey from parents, we need a survey from our teachers as well to see where they feel, what they feel, because who knows, maybe we have some teachers that might want to go into the classroom. Maybe, we have some teachers that want to try hybrid or whatever. We don't know. Right now, that's just that's a question mark. Yes,
Madam
Dr.
Chair.
Beasley.
Well, I just wanted to say this, and Dr. Lee should probably mention the survey we did this summer where they chose the AB model. But I'm gonna put on my leadership hat from being the leader of a classroom to a leader of a school building and now a leader in the district. You can do 1,000 surveys. This is one of the most complex issues that we've ever had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, when we look at all the data, we can make an argument for or against.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, we are going to have to make a decision. And I would just say the community, as I heard Ms. Bowles say, the community just needs to know what's our timeline for that decision. And whatever we decide, it will not please everyone. But as a community, once we make a decision, then we need to implement that decision and implement it to the best of our ability. But this is complex, and we should all acknowledge this is a very complex issue. None of us have had to deal with such a complex issue in our lifetime relative to kids going back to school face to face. And
right.
So
well,
I just want everybody to know that we'll do the surveys, we'll do as many as you want, but at the end of the day, a decision is going to have to be made, and that decision should be timelined out so we can implement it in a manner that always focuses on our children and that always prioritizes safety for everyone.
Well, let me say this before anyone else speaks up. We said we were going to make a decision after 9 weeks. And I want to be very clear. I believe 9 weeks on my calendar is October 19th. That's 45 days. That's what my calendar says.
We're clear. No, we're clear. And we're just having the conversation leading up to that 9-week period. We're clear.
Okay, so we're gonna at 9 weeks, we're gonna make we'll look at it, and I want to go back to what Dr. Johnson said. We're talking about Dr. Sherman. We said that we are looking for three reports of under. Is that correct?
3 consecutive.
Yes, 3 reports.
3 consecutive. Okay,
yep,
so
that's right.
So
right.
when we see 3 consecutive under 100, then we may look at making a decision, but it will be and if the board chooses that we're not going back until until January, then so be it, or whatever. Because see, as I count, let's just say the week of October 19th, and when we're talking about these grades, we said pre-K through second. Someone, Dr. Anderson, asked about some of our special needs children that have some severe situations, but we didn't even mention our students that have IEPs. So that would be those students that don't have severe issues. Looking at them, because their parents really do want them in. So we're looking, but even, if we look at the calendar and we start talking about having like certain grade levels come in, by the time we phase in, the way I counted, I don't even think we would get high school in unless we, if we did like some elementary, middle, and maybe 9th graders. But I also asked Dr. Simpson today, one of the problems with the high school is, let's say that we tried to phase in 9th grade students. Our high school students aren't just, they're across the curriculum. So let's say, for example, we tried to phase in some 9th grade students, but the 9th grade students who are actually taking 10th and 11th grade classes, how does that work? what would we be doing? Because see, I'm really concerned about what would happen as far as, because when we're looking at high school, we're looking at a group of students that are very different from elementary and middle in that they need credits to graduate. And I do want to say one thing to the audience that's looking. I do really greatly take my hat off to our superintendent of our state superintendent, who, since our Secretary of Education has decided that she's not giving us a waiver on these tests, that he has been so generous as to say, well, you know what, he's going before the board and he's going to lower the value of the milestones, because we're still looking at, having to take the milestones, and he has it lowered so much that it won't count against, our students, because everybody knows that right now we're in a pandemic. And if you're sitting in the classroom, you're worried about, is the person does the person next to me have COVID? You're more worried about trying to be healthy than you are trying to focus on the test. So I commend him for that. But what would we do at the high school level? Let's say we went back to school in October. What do we do with ninth graders who are across if we just take in ninth grade and they're across the whole spectrum? Not to mention that with high school, I don't think our teachers are some of them don't just teach ninth grade. So are we bringing back the whole high school staff, or how does that work, you all? Have we even looked at that?
Well, we discussed that once we bring our first group of students back, all teachers are returning. So you would have all of your high school's teachers back in the building, and there may be a combination of synchronous or asynchronous with the students who may still be at home versus face-to-face with the ninth graders.
Okay, so in essence, what you're saying then, and I guess I didn't know that part. So let's say if we were phasing in at any grade level, if we bring back at kindergarten, if we're doing pre-K through second, and in middle school we're doing sixth grade, we're going to bring in all of our staff, is what you're saying. Is that what you all are saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Yes.
And I can add just a little bit to that. We would like to, at minimum, give all of our employees at least a 2-week notice to prepare prior to returning to their respective work sites. So it will be all employees, just not teachers.
Dr. Wilson.
Yeah.
I hear what you guys are saying, but I want to make sure when we do those surveys that we survey teachers, and parents, everybody, make sure that it's transparent and that we get surveys on everyone.
Madam Chair, may I make a comment?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Bowles.
I am also in agreement with the next plan, which is to get survey data from all the parties that people have mentioned. But I also want to really quickly go back to the data. I didn't see this actually until I think it was Dr. Johnson was screen sharing, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but she went to a space on the table that referred to 96 as the positive rate, and that number was not in the board's version of this same data document. And now actually things make sense, because I wondered why we were revisiting the plan at all without it being under 100, because the last number that's printed in our version is 101.
Yeah.
And Ms. Bowles, and I apologize, and Ms. Bowles, we just received that data.
Yeah,
it's over 2 weeks, so that's why you didn't have it, because we just got it like on Friday, I think.
That's okay. It actually leads me to another question. It helped me think through something right now. I just did some quick math, and the difference is going down, but it went down 79, 137, 88, and then 5. So the slowdown of the spread has slowed in general. Does that make sense? So when you see how we went from 405 to 326, it was a bigger difference. And so I just want to bring that up into our decision making, that even though the numbers are trending downward, the trend is slowing and the flu season is just starting. So, I know we're going to be looking at least a few weeks of below 100, but we barely hit 1 just yet. So
well, that's maybe not necessarily true, because I think they're probably going to they may go up and down, because the number that you just gave us is what are those? What week is that, Dr. Johnson?
Okay.
Ms. Johnson.
And I'm sorry, yeah, it's Mr. Johnson, Ms. Goree.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to make you Dr. Johnson. Just go on and claim it.
That was the subject.
I appreciate it. Okay.
I think that the numbers, I think the numbers are, I think they're actually, I think they're just going to be inconsistent. They're going to kind of probably go up and down.
Yeah, Madam
Exactly.
Chair, my only point was that 96 was something we were just able to see tonight because it's new data for the team. And so that is our first evidence of anything below 100 is all I'm saying. And that distance from 101 is not that great, unlike, the decreases we've seen over time up to this point. So thanks. That's all I was.
That's right.
Right. And I think, and if you look at what the team gave you, there's actually a link. Dr. Simpson sent us a link so you can check the data ourselves. So like I said, it's going to go up and down. And we're talking about, we keep throwing in that flu season. But again, I would actually like to go back and look at our numbers with that as well, because Dr. Fauci also said that actually we're also talking about we wait until January, but it's a possibility that may be the worst time that may actually be the flu season, because I recall last year when flu season actually came with my family, that I didn't even see my grandchildren for 2 weeks. It actually came right around the break, over Christmas break. But as I said, by the time we phase in, we might actually, especially if we need 3 positive reports. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm not ready to make a move until I see 3. As Ms. Bowles, we're talking, she's mentioned 96. I need to see 3 consistent numbers below before we make a move to go in. And the way I'm looking at it, more than likely, that probably won't happen until the end of the year anyway. Now, Rockdale, they've already made their decision that they're not going back until January. So, we'll see what, after 45 days, let's see what information we have. And when we get those 3 consistent numbers that are low enough for us to maybe start phasing in, then that's what we'll do. But I'm just going to say, people, everybody, we gotta, at some point,
Madam
we're
Chair.
gonna have to, we got to make a decision, and we're gonna have to do something. Yes,
Madam
sir.
Chair, I have a quick question because my internet is not working properly. What time that game start tonight?
No, we are in 15 minutes, and we
Okay,
haven't
all
got.
right.
We haven't
No,
gotten
I'm
up
sorry.
this-
My internet
this
wasn't
phase
working.
in.
I apologize.
Okay, you all, we're not voting on this
I have
tonight.
a question.
Oh, okay. Who's that?
Me, Miss Victoria, Miss Williams.
Come on, Miss Williams.
If we bring all the staff back when we do the hybrid, are they going to be having to teach the class physically and virtually at the same time, or how would they do that?
I'm sorry. Yes. So a portion of the teachers would. Those students who have returned face-to-face, the teachers would have those students to instruct. The only way they would have a class at home is if they're students assigned to them from the Virtual Learning Academy.
No, but you said you're bringing the whole staff back, right?
Right. So so remember, we're phasing in groups of grade levels. So if we're phasing in with pre-K through 2, and let's say 6th grade and then 9th grade, then those are the grade levels where the teachers would have their students face-to-face. And they may have students who have signed up for the Virtual Learning Academy to support, but they would have their students face-to-face. The other teachers who are fully back without their students returning will continue to teach them virtually until it's their turn to phase in.
Okay, so if
That
the
makes
teacher
sense.
is teaching half her class and the other half is online, somebody else gonna be teaching that other half, or is she gonna be doing both? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
So are you referring to if we come back hybrid, Ms.
Right,
Williams?
you said you got half the class in person, the other half might be virtual.
Yes.
She's gonna be teaching virtual and in person at the same time?
So right now, the way the plan is those students on their non-face-to-face day will engage in asynchronous learning at this time. So we're still working through the specifics of the model, but the teacher, if I have a class where half is with me and half is at home, the half who are with me face to face, I'm instructing all day. Those students who are on the at home, they have asynchronous or non-teacher-led instruction that they're completing. So student independent assignments. So that's our current thinking around the model.
So the virtual kids
So are you
I'm referring to the virtuals, not the ones that's sitting at home on the hybrid.
So the ones who've signed up for the Virtual Learning Academy.
That's a whole different
And so you
group.
see how, yeah, that's a different group of students, and we're continuing to work through the complexity of making sure that they have an instructor who can provide a combination of virtual and asynchronous instruction. So that's really, there are conditions that will determine if there are teachers who are available to solely instruct those students who are at home. And so the principals, as well as their teams, we're having to work through those models now that we know our numbers.
Okay. All right.
So
Okay, I think we've beaten this horse to death. We're not voting on this tonight, people. So please, no more. Don't send out any more information until we'll look at it in October. Let us move on to the next item on the agenda.
Okay, Ms. Gorey, we have Ronick here if you want to talk about the HVAC and ventilation. We shared our information with you, and I think he responded to the questions that you all had, but Ronick is here to share anything or respond to any questions you may have relative to the HVAC and ventilation.
Okay, the purpose for putting that on the agenda was not necessarily, I do have some concerns about, let's say if we did bring our staff back to work. We do have some buildings, and I know you sent some information to us about what is it, ionization? What was the information you sent us, Mr. Joseph?
Bipolar ionization units.
Yes, the bipolar ionization. So that's not 100%. We have some buildings that are older than the others. The reason what I wanted us really to do is before we brought any staff back into the building, as well as our students, is I've been looking at the news, and my eyes kind of going toward the football game that I see in there. Let me pay attention to this board meeting. Anyway, we're talking about if you had students that were in the classroom and you're instructing them. For example, there's something involved with ventilation. They were talking about the way that the teacher is positioned within the classroom. And I don't know, let's say if we were on the hybrid model and the teacher had half the students in there, the way the heat comes into the room there, I don't know if it's more efficient or better for the teacher to have their back to the airflow, or if it's the other way, there's maybe a better chance of more germs being spread. But anyway, what I wanted to do was I was trying to see if we could actually have a third party to come in and give us some information on what would be best for us as far as the ventilation within our schools and classrooms.
Well, we'll discuss that, Ms. Gorey, offline. I mean, I like to talk to the maintenance and Ronick and let them bring to us the best recommendation. I don't want to spend money unnecessarily.
Okay.
If I don't need anyone to pay us what we already know. And
okay.
So we'll let Ronick and work with maintenance and them bring back to us a recommendation.
Okay, and and not just I mean, I know you're talking about maintenance or whatever, but I really think that we need to get. I noticed that down in I guess Henry County. I know that superintendent was involving pediatricians or whatever. But I think that we actually do need to get some other insight as far as even when you're teaching, because I'm thinking even like, for example, with this football season that we have going on right now, we don't have our bands out on the field. They're not participating. And one of my concerns with the bands, especially the instruments, where you're blowing in the instruments, is you know, what gets blown out.
Right.
You know, like for example, I really don't have a problem with if we had drum lines out on the field, because all they're beating. But if you get the saxophone section and the clarinets and all that stuff, that is a concern to me in your position as far as instruction. So I'm just not only just looking from a maintenance position and what's in the building, I'm looking from another perspective, maybe from a medical perspective, or, you know, different, you know, areas, genres, or whatever. That
is an area that we have discussed. Dr. Wiley has been working with various professionals to help inform the team, because we do understand the potential of an airborne virus being spread in that process. And so if there's something specifically that you all are looking for, we'll be glad to bring that back and share what we have done. But that has been a part of our conversation. And that's one reason you don't see bands on the field right now.
Okay. All right. Well, that's mainly my concern, because I keep hearing that information as I'm listening to stories. Okay. So basically that was it, Mr. Joseph.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
So we're on the proposed agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
From the superintendent and the chair. Let's see if we can make these as brief as possible, because I do see.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Ms. Benton will come with business services, and everybody will just follow as she finishes. We'll just follow the agenda, so I don't have to announce for everyone to come.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Dr. Beasley, members of the board and community. The Board of Education has for review the financial report as well as the financial status of the district as of August 31st, 2020. Oh, let me just present the slides for the team. I know everybody. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So the Board of Education has for review the financial report as well as the financial status of the district as of August 31st, 2020. I've included for the board a 3-year comparison of revenue and expenses. In addition to that, in addition to the financial reports, I've included actuals for 2019-2020 revenue and expenditures, as well as a projection for FY21. The district general fund balance as of August the 31st is $106.7 million. We received revenue to date as of August 31st, $16.7 million, and we've spent about $22.4 million. And so that's in the month of July as well as August total. We've also included for the board a statement of revenue and expenditures along with detailed information on revenue and expenditures by fund. The board has been provided a financial update as it relates to funding for FTE as well as payroll. You know, we've been working on a project to move to a 100% paperless process. And I've also included an update for the Board of Education as it relates to a paperless process for our vendor payments. Are there any questions that the board may have at this time regarding the financial report? So the next report is the Splost revenue report. And as the board can see, that really our Splost has been taking a hit. Our revenue has been taking a hit over the last several months. And as we know that this is directly driven by what's going on in our economy and just in our global society. So if you look at revenue for Splost collection, you can see year over year that the revenue has declined. And so this is for our sales tax collection only. This does not include the revenue that we were also receiving from Delta. So if you add the difference year over year, you can probably add another $1 million in a decline in revenue for our Splost projects.
I've also provided some information for the board, our MBE report for local small minority and women business enterprise. And so that information is there for the board. Included in the purchasing report is report A and B, which is for the board's information only. And then, of course, report C, which are contracts that are over 50,000, and those reports require the board approval. Are there any questions regarding the purchasing report? So I'll move that.
I think I see Ms. Bowles' hand. Go ahead, Ms. Bowles.
Ms. Benton, I actually don't have a question. I have a comment. I believe with public criticism should come public praise. And I just want to say that I want to thank you. I see the progress and growth every single time in the vendor report, especially the minority vendors. And the reason I'm pausing to just give you this comment is because now that we can see the tallies and the percentage of businesses, we know, actually great news, that over 70%, according to this report, over 70% of our vendors are either women or veterans or minorities or small. And that's great news. And we wouldn't have known that had this new little box at the bottom that actually tells us that was there. And so I just want to thank you for, every month, time after time, really working together to get, to move us in the right direction. So thanks.
You're welcome. That was great feedback, so it's no problem to include that information in the report.
Do we have any other? Okay, moving right along.
So if there are no other comments, Ms. Goree, the last item on the consent agenda under finance is related to the TAN, that's the tax anticipation note. I've included for the board an executive summary. And so at this time, we are requesting approximately $30 million for TAN. And so we know that our cash flow gets a little tight towards the end of the year as we are not receiving property tax revenue until maybe November, December.
Okay. Are there any questions regarding the TAN? Ms. Bowles.
Sorry, were there no other comments or questions? I didn't need to go first. Let me see. I mean, I have a lot of questions and comments on the TAN. First of all, this says that this is to take place should our general fund balance fall below 10 million. And I believe the report we just saw talked about a fund balance over 100 million. So I'm wondering, none of us can predict the future. This is all our first pandemic. What is the probability that you foresee a TAN being necessary this school year or even this fall?
So, Ms. Bowles, we definitely need a TAN. I know that the fund balance will fall below 10 million. We have, for the month of, since July, we have pulled over 55 million out of our investment account. Now, remember that the information that we're looking at this stage is almost 30 days old. So we're at the end of September, and over 90% of the money that we spend is directly tied to salaries and benefits. And so we have salaries and benefits every month of about $34-35 million every month. So I know that by the time we get to mid-November, we will need some cash flow. And also, just for the board, just as a reminder, we have a semi-monthly payroll, which means, the money is going out quicker every month. We still do not receive just like all other school districts, we receive revenue from the state of Georgia on the last day of the month. So by the time we receive our money in, we've already sent the money out to cover payroll. For example, we'll receive on September the 30th some revenue for the month of September from the Department of Education. But by the time we receive the money, we've already paid September payroll, which is total about 35 million every month.
Okay, 3 more quick questions. You were saying, you sound very confident that we will definitely need a TAN. How long have we been sure?
I began to do a cash flow analysis probably in May-June timeframe. I had hoped that we wouldn't necessarily need a TAN because as the board knows that, we had a fund balance. I think it was about 130 million earlier in the year. But we have been, we've been spending a lot of money as it relates to cleaning supplies and the different things, but that's not why we need a TAN. We need a TAN just based on how our revenue comes in. So remember that we are in a pandemic, and while we are projecting to receive less money in property taxes because folks are unemployed, unemployment rate in Clayton County is about 13%. So the residents can't necessarily pay their property taxes if they don't have jobs. I mean, obviously it's not everybody in Clayton County, but we have to take all of that into consideration.
Okay, and I'll close with these 2 more questions. My quick comment to that though is, again, I may have been doing something wrong technologically on my side, but I was wondering how long we've known we needed a TAN because the TAN report request came into the board's portal just today for a vote next Monday, but we've known this apparently for 3 months. And so I just was wondering, how long everybody else has known we needed it except the board, I guess. But the quick version of my last 2 questions was the proposal that we have here says that interest is about $225, and then the paper says at 3 months. Does that mean $225 per month for 3 months or $225 for all 3 months?
So that information, so at the time I prepared the report, that information was based on a percentage rate from our TAN from last year. So that's 225 is based on 3 months. So that's total, not by month. But as we all know that we are at a historical level with interest rates. And so the interest expense will be a lot less than 225. While we are out on spring break, I received some interest rate information from our banking folks with particular quotes. And so it is a lot less than that. The interest rate less than 1%.
Okay, awesome. And then my last question, the proposal talks about the interest we'll earn on this anticipatory note will offset legal. Is that legal plus that portion of that 225 that we'll be having interest for, or is it just $15,000 is what you're saying it'll offset out of the 5 million?
No. No. So 30 million. So 30 million, obviously, if we don't necessarily need the money right away, we're not just going to have it sitting around not collecting interest. So we'll be trying to draw interest on the money. So the interest rate that we receive on the TAN, if we were to pull down 30 million, the interest rate that we receive on that money could potentially offset the expense that the bank will charge us for borrowing the money.
Thank you, Ms. Benson.
Let me make this point. As far as the TAN is concerned, we did receive the board packet on last week. The information was in our board packet, and we generally do have a TAN. We generally have been doing that for the past couple of years. In regards to one of the things that we also are looking at is the fact that not only are we in the middle of a pandemic and we are having extra expenses for things such as clean, and we will, if we were to end up going back to a hybrid schedule or whatever, we would be doing excessive cleaning, all that type of stuff. You also must keep in mind, we are about 3,000 students below our enrollment. The reality is that because we're that many students below, we really should be laying off employees.
Right.
And we're not doing that because we don't want to contribute to the unemployment rate in the county and, our people, period. But if we started doing some counting, we would actually, we might be able to save a little bit of money based on salaries, but that is not something that we want to put on our employees right now. I noticed that the numbers have decreased as far as who's now looking at the board meeting because they heard the good news. We're not voting tonight to reopen school, so I don't even want to put it out there that we might need to be looking at furloughs or anything like that. But realistically, if we're really concerned with our finances, that is something that we would be also looking at. And I'm going to move on because we have.
Well, for the record, I just wanted to mention that the TAN request was not in last week's board packet, as I mentioned.
Yes, it was.
It was introduced after. So, and it's okay. I just want to be clear that it wasn't there last week, and now it's here for tonight's consideration. We've had it in between then, but it wasn't all at the same time.
Okay, well, maybe I'm gonna say that maybe not in your packet, but what it was is that what was added today was added on the agenda. It was put in there. Miss Johnson.
Miss Goree.
Yes, the TAN was brought up whenever we did the budget. This is something that is not uncommon in a business. This is something that just happens. And it is not an uncommon thing. It does not mean that we're not diligently doing what we're supposed to do with the budget. It's just something that happens on sometimes a regular basis when you're in business.
And when we talk about taxes, because I'm going to be one of those people that will, if you all depending on tax money to keep the school district, mine will be late as it is every year because I think it's more important for me to have Christmas than it is to pay my taxes. So school taxes. Dr. Beasley, go right ahead.
Madam Chair, I was just going to share that if you remember in the budget process, we anticipated that a TAN may be necessary. Yes. The timing of it was questionable, but as we have continued to monitor the cash flow and the revenues that we receive from the state, property values taxes, etc. We thought this would be the best time to bring the TAN request to not have it any longer than what we actually needed in light of the amount of interest that we would have to pay. So I just want everyone to know that we anticipated it. The timing was just a concern to us. We did not know about when.
Yeah, we generally we generally do this every time, year to year. So that's just the nature of the beast. Okay, are we ready to move on to the next item?
Okay, Ronick is next.
Good evening once again. You received the Splost construction update. For the month of August, 3 payments were made, totaling $6 million. There was 1 negative change order for Mount Zion Elementary School for $47,000. This is submitted for information purposes. The next item pertains to the capital outlay application with the Georgia DOE. We made them aware of our plans to construct a new Forest Park Middle School, and the state has agreed to contribute $5.5 million towards the project. Are there any questions?
Oh,
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Ms. Bowles.
The $5.5 million contribution from the state is in the form of a loan or a grant?
It's a reimbursement.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you, Ronick. That is much needed for that that middle school is going to be much needed for Forest Park, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Joseph, are we going, since I know that we signed off on some demolition of the other, are we going to go ahead with the middle school before we do the the other project? Or have we looked at changing the order of our projects?
Not as of yet. The directive was to finish the projects that are ongoing, at which time in 2022, we would present a recommendation far as the revised priorities. So we have a 3-year window to spend these funds. So as our FTE numbers are high, so I went ahead and made the application. That way we could maximize our reimbursement.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could just say one thing to Dr. Joseph. If you want to think about the age of the Forest Park Junior High, I attended school in that building. And it is much needed.
Oh, and also, please, before you all do anything, I don't want to get in trouble over that gym, that barracks over there.
Oh, good Lord, you didn't touch that.
I believe that's on the National Historical. So please don't do any demolition of that, and we don't want to get in trouble about that.
My footprints are in there.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, other members of the board, Superintendent Beasley, and community members. The personnel changes report for this period covers August 21st through September 14th. As of the report, we're about 96% staffed with teachers, about 140 vacancies. For the same reporting period last year, there were approximately 20 more vacancies. So 140 this period as compared to maybe 160 last year. Between now and the remainder of this semester, when colleges traditionally graduate candidates, due to COVID, all of our job fairs will be virtual. Some we will host as a school system. Others we will participate with colleges and universities, recruiting traditional and non-traditional candidates in an attempt to find the best quality teachers that we can for our students in Clayton County. And that concludes the personnel changes report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I'm going to email you a question because I think one of my concerns right now is with our looking at what us being the way we're staffed based on our enrollment, just getting some information about that. But I'll email it and you can share it with the board. Do we have any other questions? Okay. Moving on to board matters. Right now, a couple of the matters for the board, we do have an upcoming retreat, which is, I believe it's October the 10th. And I sent messages to you all today for you all to tell me what your preference is as far as whether or not we want to do it virtually or if we want to do it face-to-face. And right now, I don't think I got a response from everybody, but it seems like we're we have some people that don't mind trying to do it virtually, but some are saying, some want face-to-face. So we're kind of even right now. And since we just said and discussed about, whether or not we would be reopening schools, I'm thinking right now that maybe it should be virtual, but that's just looking at the information that I have right now. So we won't make a decision on that. I see Mr. Straker. Do you have a comment, Mr. Straker?
No, I was just saying,
you did give me a response today.
Right.
So I will need to get some input because if we were going to do it, I believe that the maximum amount of people that could be there would be 50 people. And we definitely would not try to do something face-to-face in the small area where we've been doing it. Right now, we don't know how much staff would be involved. There are 10 of us when we look at the board and Dr. Beasley. And then if we add Mr. Doyle, there would be 11, and then we will have a board liaison coming on, and then our administrative assistant. So we're looking right there at about 13 people, and then we don't even, when we include staff, then we also have people in the public that might want to come, which might present a problem because we would not have more than 50 people in the room, and we would need to, if we were going to do it face to face, not be in the small room that we were in, but be in the other part of the professional learning center, where we need to open up all of those spaces and do social distancing. So, and Dr. Anderson and also Ms. Bowes have, brought up good points too about us about to go into the flu season. We don't want to jeopardize anybody's health at this time. So I will just wait and speak to everyone individually about what your preference is. And Mr. Doyle will be, he'll be conducting that with us. I haven't spoken to him yet. And mainly what we want to focus on anyway is the board and things that we need to do, our needs assessment, our vision for, and even looking at, I was just looking at the fact that these, our goals have been the same for the past, 4 years at this point. I know we definitely have some goals, some different goals that we need to look at. So it's more about boardsmanship and development for ourselves. So it might actually be best for us to, look at it virtually, but I will get back with you all on that. I wanted you all to know that we have submitted our application for being an exemplary board. I want to commend all of our board members for your great work this year with going beyond the call of duty for all the extra staff development. Professional development. That's the term that was used back in the day when I was a teacher. Professional development. Everyone is doing, you're outstanding. And my son is yelling the football game. I guess I better hurry up and finish. Okay, so basically those are the board matters. So let us move on. Do we have anything else that we might need to add as far as the board is concerned that I have overlooked? Okay, hearing none. I believe we're down to the naming of our South Clayton Elementary School. Now, we do have another problem this evening because we don't have all 9 board members. And I basically have kind of spoken to everybody about what they want to name this school. So at this time, Dr. Wiley, do you really need to say anything, or do we just go ahead?
No, ma'am.
Go ahead
I'm
and
here
say
to-
a little something, Dr. Wiley.
I just want to say good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Beasley. And we are looking forward to your recommendation and approval of a name for the new elementary school in South Clayton.
Okay, I lost you, I lost you, Dr. Wiley, but I can't hear you, Dr. Wiley.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I just wanted to say good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Superintendent Dr. Beasley. And on behalf of Dr. Beasley, we're looking forward to your recommendation and approval of a name for the new South Clayton Elementary School in the Panhandle area.
Okay. And now we've lost you again. After you,
I make the motion, Ms. Corey.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I can hear her.
hold on. I see the first person that I saw was Miss Baker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With everything that's been going on in our country, the unrest, we just had the anniversary of the March on Washington. I would like to name the school after John Lewis.
Okay, so we have a nomination for John Lewis. Thank you. Miss Bowles.
This school will be in my district, and so I also would like to make a proposal. Between conversations with board members, consideration from the district survey, and engagement with constituents, I want to make a motion that we name the new elementary school John R. Lewis Leadership and STEM Academy.
Okay, we have 2 for John Lewis. Okay, now Dr. Anderson.
Yes, and I would like to make a motion that we name the school the Michelle Obama, and I'm going to steal yours, Jasmine, STEM and Leadership Academy.
Well, I think that it already has something that's going after it that is
that's fine
related to STEM. But
yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson.
Yes,
and I'm going to second that motion for the Michelle Obama STEM school. Now, the problem that we have here is I actually have spoken to everyone, and I believe that Miss Baker, Miss Bowles, okay, Miss Johnson, Miss Johnson, you are
John Lewis
in favor of John Lewis, and I've
Yes.
also spoken to Mr. Christmas, who's in favor of John Lewis. Are you still here, Mr. Christmas?
John Lewis.
Okay, and so Dr. Anderson is for Michelle Obama. I'm supporting Michelle Obama because I know we've had the social unrest, but Michelle Obama actually does have a link to Clayton County, and that her grandmother, her great-great-grandmother, actually was raised on a plantation in Rex, Georgia. So she actually does have some lineage to Clayton County. So let's see, we have Miss Williams. What is your pleasure?
Michelle Obama.
Okay. And Mr. Straker?
Michelle Obama.
Okay, now, so we have 4-4. Now, I have the person that's missing is Miss Burrows, and Miss Burrows wants Michelle Obama. So, but you all may not, you may not want to take my word for it. I did try to get her to text to the board. Let me see. I don't know how I can share on the screen. I wish I could, but she sent me a text message and she says, I will not be at the meeting tonight, but doing all of the required reading. And I said, thanks. Okay, can you email me your vote for the naming of the school? You said Michelle Obama before. Is that still your choice? And she said, yes, Michelle Obama. So she would be the tiebreaker. So you all can either, let me see.
We believe you. We
can
believe.
This is my screen. I can either forward
Madam Chair,
her
Madam Chair, the
yes,
challenge
sir.
would
What
be-
can we do, Mr. Doyle?
Yeah, the challenge is just that we don't have that fifth board member here to cast the
Exactly.
vote. But is it okay to push this to the meeting and you can frame it as the agenda item as you like? If you feel there's 5 members, you make it a motion to confirm that name.
Well, I will. That's what I was going to say is that we can, because I know that we have postponed this because we didn't have our 9 people each meeting. And so therefore, I would say that is Mr. Joseph still on the call? Mr. Joseph, can we go one more? Can we go to next week, or can we just, Mr. Doyle, can we just have Ms. Burrows email her vote, or what can we do to break the tie?
You would need to have a majority of the members present.
Present, okay.
And in theory, it's going to matter who shows up next week to the board.
Okay.
Meeting, right.
All right. So I think at this time we have that.
I have a question or a statement.
Yes.
When I was looking over the policy about naming the schools, since Michelle Obama is still alive, don't we need to get her permission first?
We
before
do.
we name the school?
Yes, we do.
So if we have to do that to see before the vote actually count, because she say no, then we're gonna have to redo it, right?
That's right. That's correct. So we would need to get permission from Michelle Obama, but and that's not a problem. If we have 5 votes, we can ask for permission. And if it's a no, then that poor school will just be sitting out there with a sign. It'll just be John Lewis, because I love John Lewis as well. But that was but right now we can't, we won't have a name for the school unless somebody's willing to concede. But I think we can just wait until next week. Or can we, Mr. Joseph?
Yes, ma'am. Next Monday will be fine.
Okay, so we're gonna try this again, and we will see. But Ms. Bowles, did you want to say something?
No, Ms. Williams made the point I was going to make. I think that the John Lewis piece is also in accordance with our policy about a posthumous honor as opposed to someone who's still living. So she just made that point. And that's
we don't need permission for John Lewis, but we do. Yes, but I know that we do need permission we need 2 things. we need well, let's say three things. We need a majority vote. We need to have permission for the for a living person, and then the other thing is we don't have a majority here, so we're going to again have to postpone the vote until next week. Okay. All right. So that means that the next item on the agenda is the approval of the proposed board meeting agenda for October 5th. Has everyone looked at the agenda? And we see what we will have on the list next week, although now we're going to have to add to the agenda. We will have to add the naming of the school again, maybe, because it actually may, even though we get a majority, it actually may switch again next week. But we do need to add that to the agenda. So we will put that, I guess, under, and let me pull it up. I guess we can put it under the business agenda under, that would be B under the resolution. Okay, so at this time, yes. At this time, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I second it.
All right.
I third it.
Can we just, everybody put your hands up this time? Do we have any opposition? Okay, everybody is, okay, we have a unanimous vote to approve the agenda for next board meeting. And I believe our business has been covered. And thank you so much for your attendance. We are now adjourned.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye-bye. You have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.